have the best intentions of following through with our New Year's resolutions, but we're only human. And sometimes we fall short. So to get advice on what to do when that happens, I spoke with therapist Ashley McGirt. So we've been talking about New Year resolutions, and now it's getting to the point where maybe some of us have broken those resolutions already. So what should we do when we break our New Year resolutions?
We have to give ourselves grace. We are human. We're going to make mistakes, and there's going to be days where we don't want to do the thing that we said we're going to do. And that's okay. And just give yourself grace, because if you beat yourself up about it, you're going to experience anxiety, sadness, all of these things that impact our mood, and it's not going to serve you well.
And it'll probably distract you from continuing on. And I think it's ideal that you mentioned grace. That is my word for 2020, grace.
Love that.
For myself, for others. If we break our resolution, should we tell our accountability partner?
I think it's important to actually be honest and own up to, hey, I slipped up. I didn't do what I said I was going to do, or I ate that extra cupcake. Because oftentimes we hold things inside and other people are slipping up too, and there's no one that they have that they can share that with. But if we're open about it and we share our mistakes, or when we fall short, others people learn from it. And then we have our accountability partner to pull us up, like, you know what, it's okay. I did the same thing a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad that you were open enough to share that with me. And now we can have a conversation about how we can prevent it from happening again.
In our past conversations, we've talked about picking attainable goals. Well, what if we pick something too big? Should we break it down into smaller steps?
Yes, definitely break it down into smaller steps. Look at what does it take to achieve that goal. So maybe my goal is to sing on stage with Beyonce. That would be amazing. I love Beyonce. But how can I realistically get to a stage to sing with Beyonce? So I have to look at that. What are the steps taken to do that? Who do I need to know? How does my voice need to be? What does my stage presence look like? So many people will be like, that's unrealistic. You shouldn't be thinking about singing on stage with Beyonce. I personally cannot sing at all. But if that was your goal, you can still stick to that, and you can hold such a big goal, because plenty of people sung on stage with Beyonce and that was their goal and they made it happen. But what are the steps needed to achieve that? So definitely just break it down and look at what is required. Otherwise, we're just dreaming.
I like that distinction a lot. How can we deal with the guilt of breaking our resolutions? I mean, sometimes the guilt turns into depression. And that's why I've personally avoided resolutions in the past.
And it goes back to giving yourself grace, looking at what was it that allowed you to fall short? What barriers were in place? Maybe right now we're all experiencing COVID, so gyms are closed. Okay, so I'm not able to do the physical activity that I'm used to in a gym setting. So that caused sadness and all of those things. And I was wallowing in that. But now I can find some ways to be active in my home. I can watch YouTube videos, or I can order some products that I can do in my house. So it's important, one, to acknowledge the feelings, allow yourself to feel it's okay, and get back to it.
And something you mentioned earlier that I thought was really profound is I shared with you that, I had a New Year's resolution that helped me realize there was something deeper going on inside me. And I discussed that with my therapist. How important is it to involve these feelings that maybe come up with these New Year's resolutions with a therapist or a spouse or someone?
I think it can be extremely important, but you also have to be mindful of who you're sharing that information with. Because there are some people we will share that information with and they will break our spirit. And there are some people who will lift us up. A therapist's role is to motivate you, to help inspire you, to help you find those inner deep-rooted things that are blocking you in achieving your goals. A spouse is there to support you. There's other people in our lives where that may not necessarily be their role. So we have to look at who is it that we're going to and we're confiding in, and how have they helped us in the past? Did you feel better when you talked to them? Did you feel down? Did they give you some tips? What was helpful about that interaction? But it's definitely important to speak to others so that we don't keep it all bottled up inside.
So important. Should we learn to be happy with progress and not perfection?
Yes, yes, by all means. We have to celebrate our small wins because it's those small wins that get us to the big wins. And if we don't celebrate that, who else is going to celebrate it? We have to. And also, there's other people who are watching us and who are getting inspired of us. We all have a story. And if we can celebrate that small win, the person coming up behind us sees it and they can acknowledge it and also celebrate with you.
Love that. And big thanks to Ashley McGirt for all the great advice she's given us this week.